Hey guys, this is Zishan from UltimateOffTimes.com. Today we are going to talk about the Cult of the Lamb. Review of Cult of the Lamb with info on the story, gameplay mechanics, and everything else you need to know before you buy. Cult of the Lamb is a roguelike action-adventure game under development by Massive Monster and published by Devolver Digital. The story revolves around a possessed lamb that is spared from death by a godlike stranger known as the One Who Waits, and must return their debt by building a loyal following in its name. A lamb, purportedly the last of its species, is taken before 4 heretic prophets and sacrificed before them in a nation of false prophets. When the lamb dies, it is taken before the One Who Waits, a bizarre god who assigns the lamb the responsibility of founding a cult in its honor, grants them the demonic headgear known as the Red Crown, and resurrects them. The lamb settles among the ruins of a temple to form their religion on behalf of the One Who Waits, and sets out to destroy the prophets and become the one true cult, aided by Ratau, the lamb's predecessor. While the game's fundamental gameplay loop is likely to keep players interested, it's the title's unusual graphical style that will bring in crowds. Cult of the Lamb is a very unusual blend of charming cartoon forest creatures with satanic and horrific images, reminiscent of classic YouTube movies like Happy Tree Friends. Cult of the Lamb gameplay. Cult of the Lamb places players in the hooves of a recently possessed lamb who was recently spared by a strange demon and hence owes them a life debt. To pay back the debt, the player must establish a cult in the demon's name and embark on a quest to gain additional resources and adherents. The core gameplay loop of Cult of the Lamb is divided into 2 unique parts: a city management game and a roguelike dungeon crawler. Cult of the Lamb's first half sees the player construct their cult's village from the ground up, starting with a simple altar to the demon and expanding with shacks and buildings, all of which feed into the game's progression system, which sees the player unlock new abilities and progress further in the game's story. The second part of Cult of the Lamb's gameplay involves players going dungeon exploring to collect the ingredients needed to expand the cult. Each dungeon and arena in Cult of the Lamb is procedurally produced, featuring randomized treasure and foes. Players must go through the region, eliminating all enemies, taking what is left behind, and diving further into the darkness until they reach a boss of a competing cult. By defeating that boss, the player's cult gains additional power and riches, which may be utilized to grow the cult's base of operations. Players will encounter a variety of charming forest creatures as they go through Cult of the Lamb, all of which may be corrupted into joining the player's evil cult and then utilized to earn greater power and influence. In essence, it's a roguelite action RPG. You only have one chance at completing the objective by fighting your way through a sequence of rooms, many of which are filled with monsters. There's a lot of cutting and dodge rolling, and the action moves quickly. The difference is in the in-between, which is where the game's concept truly shines through. As a sword strikes your neck to sacrifice you, the devil is a lamb. In exchange, the devil wants you to start a cult for them. Cult of the Lamb characters. The Lamb, a disciple of the One Who Waits who was miraculously spared from death and transformed into his god's vessel and prophet. The One Who Waits, the ancient god who favors curried lamb. He has been imprisoned by the bishops of the Old Faith and requires the lamb and his cult to be free and strong once more. Ratau, a previous vessel of the One Who Waits. He serves as the lamb's teacher. Followers, the lamb's different funny animal recruits for his religion, the Old Faith, before the lamb establishes a new cult dedicated to the One Who Waits and opposes their oligarchical authority. The game's current dominant religion. It is a terrible, gloomy, and barbaric faith devoted to devoted worship of the 4 bishops and regular sacrifices of reluctant animals, as all sheep and the lamb were meant to be. Klonek, an ancient bird who uses tarot cards to predict the destiny of the lamb. Ratu, a rat on the hunt for his heart. Cult of the Lamb enemies. The bishops. Cult of the Lamb review. The Old Faith's 4 governing oligarchs. They are massive, enigmatic beings with crowns on their heads and eldritch abilities who inspire allegiance among forest creatures while wreaking horrible misery on non-believers. Bishop Leshy is the Darkwood's ruler. Bishop Hecate, overseer of Anura's poisoned lands. Lord of the Anchored Deep. Bishop Kalamar. Bishop Shemura is the most senior of the bishops and the master of the Silk Cradle. Cult of the Lamb multiplayer. Cult of the Lamb does not have a multiplayer or cooperative mode. At the very least, it will not be available when the game is released. Thus, it's possible that Massive Monsters devs had considered a cooperative option for Cult of the Lamb since this contact in April. Cult of the Lamb Game Pass. Cult of the Lamb is currently not available on Xbox Game Pass, though this may change in the future based on the popularity of the game, any partnerships with Microsoft and Devolver Digital, and other circumstances, Cult of the Lamb may or may not be included to Xbox Game Pass. On August 11, 2022, Cult of the Lamb will be published on Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, S. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this video, so just click the like button below, and also to watch more videos from us, just subscribe to Ultimate of Times and also join our forum to build a gaming community.